Hey everyone, today we're going to keep building our small business planner here, and we are going to focus on HR, so hiring processes. And we are going to build a few new tables, including people, salary, this kind of stuff. And most of the structures that we're going to build today are related to the hiring process. So we're going to build a workflow, public form, so you can share about your new openings and so on. So, Cruz, where should we start, given that we already have a few structures here, such as CRM and finance?
Cool. So, like I said, today we're going to focus on recruiting. So we're going to start building HR parts of the platform, but today we're focusing on recruiting, and recruiting itself is not really connected to other parts that we've already built, right? We don't have anything feeding into accounts payable, receivables, clients, vendors, and so on. There's nothing going on with the CRM as well. So these structures can be relatively independent, right? We can create them on their own, and then they're going to feed into other stuff that we build, like an employees database and such. So we can start with them like from scratch. We don't have to connect them to anything, and then we can just later on connect with automations, with actual connections between databases, and so on. So right now, as we're starting with recruiting, basically what we want is one, we want a Kanban board for the hiring process. So we want to receive applications and have stages like a first like meeting and an interview and like maybe tests and so on. We want a database for job openings. So we want to be able to set if a job opening is active or inactive, so people can select the correct job openings. And we also want a public form. So we want a public form that we can share a link in message boards, in social media posts, and so on. And we can also have these public form directly into our website as well. So with this public form, we can share it in many different ways. So, and also there's a fourth thing that is probably a dashboard for the recruiting process as well. So these are the four things that we're probably going to use here. So we're going to start building the structures. Structurally, we only need two databases for now, right? We need the applications database for the Kanban board of the hiring process itself, and we want a database for job openings, right? So we're going to start building with these. So let's click here on a new tool, and we're going to create a new blank table, okay? So let's start actually with the job openings, right? I'm going to name this job openings SMB. So each job opening, you should probably have a title. So like financial intern, let me see, data engineer, and sales people one. For example, we can have other kinds of examples here. One thing that we're going to do, and it's going to be a little bit more apparent later why we're doing this. In this table, we can put more information. I'm just going to do some things here. But one thing that I'm going to do is add a single option field for the team, right? So I have the finance team. I have, for example, the sales team, and I have the tech team. And these could have marketing, but these are the ones that I'm going to create. For now, you can expand on that later. So I have the team. I'm going to create these structure. So salespeople is for sales, data engineer. Here you go, tech. Financial intern is finance. Actually, sales is salesperson. Okay. So we could have, for example, the salary range or something like that, the job description. Let's go ahead and put the job description. But the only other field that we're going to put here is the status, right? So we're going to add a new field as a single option, which is a drop-down option for status, and a job opening can be either active, and I'm going to select this color here, or inactive, and it's going to be grayed out. Okay, so cool. These are my job openings, and I'm going to leave them all as active for now. You're going to see why later. This is going to come in handy for the form, right? But this is the structure that I'm going to use for the job openings, right? So for now, that's enough. I'm going to go to the applications database, or applicants. Maybe you want to name it something else, okay? There you go. So we have this database, right? And also we're going to rename the title field as name. So that's the name of the person applying for the job. Okay. So there's a name, there's contact info. So we can request the email, and we can also request the phone number. We could also have a, let me see here. There you go. A link field for the LinkedIn. So it's their LinkedIn profile and any other thing that you might want here. There you go. And we can also have a text for more information. For example, my job history, employment history, actually. Employment history, and one for education, right? You could probably ask for more information. We're going to keep it at that. So later on, you can customize however you want. One other thing that I want here is an attachment field, right? So people can send their resumes or a letter of introduction or something like that. There you go. Okay, so this is the applicant info, right? Their name, their email, phone number, LinkedIn, employment history, education, attachments, and so on. Okay, so this is their info, and what I want here is for them to select the job that they're applying for. Uh, Before I do that, and this is why we created that team um, option in the job openings. I'm going to create a field here for with the same options of the one we had in the job openings. So I have finance, I have sales, and I have tech, right? And now I'm going to create a connected field for the job opening. And this is going to connect to the job opening table that I already built. I'm going to sort job openings by title alphabetically, so it's a little bit easier to find stuff. I'm going to go with purple for this part of the template, and I'm going to use this icon for the job opening. There you go. Okay, if I just create this field with the connection, if I try to create a record for an applicant, for an application here, I can select any sort of job opening. I can select all the job openings that I have in my database. So there are two things that we're going to do here, right? I'm going to edit this field for the connection of the job opening, and I'm going to add one filter at first, right? I'm going to add a filter that I only want to be able to select job openings that have the active status. So right now I can select any kind of job opening because they are all active. But if let's open the job openings table. If I go to the job openings and change the status from active to inactive, let's change one of them. Let's change the sales job opening to inactive. Then now if I try to select a job opening, I have to refresh here, but just let me see here. If I try to select a job opening, let's refresh. I'm not going to be able to select a this salesperson one job opening anymore because it's inactive. So we can kind of filter that. We can use filters so that people cannot apply to inactive job openings. And this makes it so you don't have to always keep updating the form itself. You always just update the job opening database, right? So if I try to select them now, I only have data engineer and financial intern. But one other thing that I'm going to do here is that maybe I don't want people to go through all of the job openings. Maybe they only want to see HR openings or finance openings or um, tech openings and so on. So this is why I've created this field here, right? So what I'm going to do here is edit this field again, and I'm going to add a new filter. I'm going to keep this filter here, but I'm going to add a new one. So I'm only going to be able to select job openings whose status is active, and the theme of the job opening is the same as the theme I'm selecting in the application. So when I check this box here, use form value, I'm comparing something in the job opening to something in the application itself, right? So, oops, this is what we're doing here. And now if I save and try to create a new application, I'm going to apply. You can see now that I cannot select a job opening because I have to select the team beforehand. So if I select finance, now I only get finance related job openings. So this makes it way easier for the person who's filling out the form, right? Because they can just go to the form and say, oh, let me see all of the tech job openings, and it's going to filter automatically for them, right? Cool. So let's keep adding some other stuff here. I'm going to add a date and time field for interview date. I could, for example, add a to-do field, and this is one that I'm going to use for culture fit, and you are going to see why. You may be thinking it's kind of odd to use a to-do field for culture fit, but what we can do here is toggle this on, repeat the same checklist, and do some ask some questions here. For example, Um, has side projects, worked in startups, for example, if that's relevant for you. And let's see, went to X college. So maybe these are the questions. We could have more general purpose questions. Is just to show you guys what this does, right? Cool. So now we have a culture fit item, and when you check these, you can see that the culture fit progress bar increases, right? So this can be a good way for you to filter all of the, for example, applications that you receive for a job opening. So this is just an idea. You don't have to do that. We're going to keep it in this template because it's a nice way of doing this, of having like this culture fit, like very straightforward way to do it. We're not going to add too much stuff here now. We're just going to add a option field for the stage, right? So stage, we have the triage, so people are going to apply. It's going to go to a common like pile of resumes, and it's going to be the first stage. We can have the interview stage, for example, so people who went to the next stage. We can have like a technical interview stage. We can have a proposal, and of course you can edit this later with the, let me see, interview. I'm just going to give it a different color. I'm going to go with this one, and then interview is going to be yellow, just to keep the progression of colors here. And you can change the stages later. These are just suggestions, right? And we're also going to have a stage for archived. So maybe there's someone who applied that you think doesn't make sense for your team. You can just send them to archive. It's not lost, so you can always retrieve that later on. Okay. And for this field, we're going to activate the SLA metrics, right? So this is going to monitor how much time that application spent in certain stages, right? So I'm going to create that. And after that, all that I'm going to do is create some fields for the Kanban cards, right? There you go. So we're going to create the task field, and this is just a mirror of the tasks connected to that specific card, right? This is not just a field of information exactly. This is just reflecting the tasks and chat features regarding that specific card, right? So task chat, and I'm also going to create time in status, so I can at a glance see on the cover of the card how much time that card has spent in a certain stage. So time in current stage. There you go. And one thing that I'm just going to do to show you guys that it's possible, we have a LinkedIn link field here. I'm also going to create a button that will direct me to the LinkedIn profile. Go to LinkedIn, and it's connected to the LinkedIn field, right? We actually have an icon for LinkedIn. So there you go. I'm going to get this color and go. Okay, cool. So These are all the fields that I'm going to create for now. We can expand on that later. But for a first version of the recruiting process, I think it works fine, right? So if I try to create a new record here, I have name, email, phone number, LinkedIn, employment history, everything that I need, okay? So what we're going to do now is first we're going to create the form for the applications, right? So we're going to click here on create new tool, and we're going to create a new app. So let's just customize the colors. There you go. And I'm going to call this recruiting form. And I'm going to add a form to this app. So one thing that's cool about Jestor is that you can create forms and you add them to apps. So you don't have to have just the form on the app. You could have a form with a list on the side, with a chart on the same page. Right now, we're just going to use the form itself, but you could have this with more components and still have it as a public link. Okay. So this is going to be called recruiting form, and we're going to start customizing. So this is the form that people outside of the company are going to use to apply to job openings. Okay, so we're going to customize the title and description. So work with us. You can customize however you want. So I'm going to add a title and a description. Use this form to send your application, for example. And for the table, it's going to be applications, okay? And what we're going to do here now that I've said that this form is connected to applications and it's going to send information into the applications database, the applications table, I have to say which fields the people that are applying for jobs are going to fill. So their name, and I can just keep adding the fields that I've created, right? Email, phone number, let's see, the team, the job opening. Also, let's see, actually, let's get education and job history as well. We have, let's see, I think this is not the page that I had before. Just let me check something. I'm going to add this as a favorite. I think I didn't name the table itself. I'm just going to rename this SMB just to make sure I'm using the correct database, right? So let's edit this. There you go. Recruiting form. I'm going to add a title. So use this form to send your application. So we already have all of the fields that I want. So I have name, email, phone, LinkedIn, employment history, education, and so on, team, job opening. I don't want interview date. I don't want culture fit, tasks or chat, LinkedIn. So these are the fields that we want. So let's rearrange them. I only have to drag and drop, right? So let's see here. LinkedIn, employment history, education, attachments, team, job opening, and stage. Okay, this is already the correct order. If I wanted to, I could change just by dragging. So you can see that we have some edit icons here. So we can do things like uh, change the name of the field only on the form, right? This is not going to affect the database. So we can change this to full name and make it require. And you see that it's already reflecting here, right? One thing that we can do as well is add form blocks. Form blocks, for those who are not aware, they are things that you can add to the form that are not fields of information, but they add functionalities, they add usability options to the form itself. So in this case, I'm going to add an inline block. So what we can do here is add email and oops, sorry, here and phone number, and they are right next to each other, right? So we can make a better use of the space of the form, and email is going to be a required form field, right? LinkedIn is working already. Employment history and education, maybe they can be right next to each other. Let's see if it will look all right. Yeah, I suppose it works. We can make the form wider, so I think it kind of works like this right now. So as they fill out, there you go. So okay, we have employment history and education. I'm not going to make it required, right? You would probably do that. I'm not going to make it so we can test it a little bit easier. So attachments, we can also add descriptions, right? So for example, I can do here resume, cover letters, etc. So we can guide the person. For example, in email, like make sure it's an email address you check every day. And we can keep adding these to the form, right? So attachments, team, job opening, and so on. One block form that we're going to add here is a section. This is going to group all of the information together. So I'm going to call this your info and tell us about you. And it works kind of just like the inline block works, right? All we have to do is drag and drop. So there you go. And you can see how it works here, okay? So cool, I have this part, like your info, tell us about us, your information, and such. Cool. One other thing that I can do here is add pagination, right? I can use this new page block, and I'm going to drag it right after the attachments, right? So now we have two pages for the form. One page for the information and one other page for the job opening and team, right? So I'm going to add a new section here. So job application, job opening team, are you interested in? Okay, so we add this section, and team and job opening is going to be required. And one last thing that I'm going to do here is that people are going to they're going to submit the form, and I want them to go to the triage stage, right? So I'm going to toggle this on, predefined value, triage, and I'm going to hide this field. So this is going to make it so when people submit the form, it's going to go right into triage, but they're not going to be able to see the field or change the information there, okay? There you go. Some other things that we're going to do here, I'm going to keep form responses enabled. What does this do? The person can ask for a copy after they submit for the job opening, right? So when they submit their information, they will be able to request a copy of the information that they sent. So this is useful for a lot of different reasons, right? But most of all is that they know that you have received their application, right, and what they sent. Um, we can customize the success page. So, for example, we could do something like "Thank you for your interest," and you can customize the success message when the person submits the form. You can instead also redirect the person to a specific link. So, for example, you could redirect the person to your website, to your homepage. We're not going to do this here, but you could. And the submit button label, you could customize. So instead of submit, it's a different message. We're not going to do this now as well. Okay, so we have some style options for the background, for example, or the button. I can customize the color of the button, you can see here, and customize other colors as well. So for example, this one, I'm going to leave this white for now because I'm going to do some other things here, right? Um, I think this works fine for now. And I can also change the width of the form, right? So I can have it regular, wide, and super wide is going to be the whole size of the screen. Because of the employment history and education, I think it's good to go with wide, right? So I'm going to save. Okay, so this is the form, right? There are a couple of styling options, a few other style options that we can do here, right? So one thing that we didn't do is add a logo and a cover, right? Just to show you guys. So I'm going to get some images here. So for example, I'm going to get a landscape image here, and I'm going to get the logo of a company. Cool. There you go. So for example, I can add a cover to this form. The cover is going to be up top here. As soon as the image uploads, you will be able to see it. And I have this landscape here, for example, right? And now let's add a logo. You could add the logo of your company. So if I add it here, let's just see. Sure, it's not copying. There you go. So I'm going to add the Nike logo just so you guys can see what it's going to appear. It's going to appear here. So you can see that you can add the logo of your company and an image here. So you can customize, because this is going to be for people outside of your company. So it's cool that you have some other customization options as well, right? One other thing that you could do, for example, is I'm going to remove these, right? I'm going to go to customize, and I can change the font of the form. So for example, I may think that this looks better, and it's going to change the font of the form itself. And I can upload a background image. So I'm going to get the same image now, and I'm going to upload it here. And the form doesn't have to take the whole of the screen, right? It could be centered. It could be on just the left part, and you had more components here. And one other thing that you could do, right? I have now this background, is that I could make the form fill the whole screen, right? And I could, for example, enable this transparent blur here, for example, here. So I can kind of see the background, right? So there are a lot of different customization options that you could do here. So let's change just this for a different one. Yeah, it could be this. There you go. So now we have this form, right? And this is internal, right? This is not the form that people are going to use because they would have to be logged onto your account. But what we can do here is activate building mode and click on public app and share it publicly. So all we have to do now is wait for it to generate the public link. As I'm sharing my screen, it's the browser is a little bit slow, but I think that it's going to go. I'm just going to open the applicants table just to leave it open here. So we have the job openings, we have the applicants here, and I'm going to delete the examples that we have here so we can test the form. There you go. So you get two things when you share an app publicly, right? You have the link. So this is just a standard link that's public. You can share with people. You can post in message boards, in messaging apps, in groups, in your website, in social media posts, and so on. And you also have the embed code, which basically gives you a code so you can put this form directly into your website. So it's not a link, it's directly into your own homepage, right? Let me show you guys the link itself, the public link. I'm opening it here. You can see that it's a share.jestor link. There you go. I have to edit some stuff. We can disable this top bar. We can disable gesture branding. But just to show you guys how it works, I'm going to go with full name. It's going to be Andrew Lee. And the email is andrew@email.com. LinkedIn is going to be, I'm just going to put on Gestor's website here. Employment history, education, attachments. I could add all of this information. I didn't make it required, but you probably just add it to make it required. And I can select the team here. So I want a finance team job opening, and it fetched financial intern. I can select this and send. And the job application, thank you for your interest. Like I said, we've enabled this so the person can receive a copy of their submission, and it's here, right? So this is what I've just used the form for. Okay, so there are some things I can do for the form here, right? I'm probably will edit later. I'm going to remove the blur, for example, and make it smaller. Um, there you go, for example. So I think it works a little bit better. We can leave it centered, for example. There you go. Okay, cool.
I think that's nice for hiring process is sometimes to just add like a YouTube video about the company or about the opening itself.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do that with the form blocks. So you can edit here. Like I said, form blocks are things that add functionalities to your form. So you could add an image, an animation. You could also add there you go, a YouTube video, and so on. So this would be in your form. Okay. So cool. One thing, we have the form now. So what we're going to do now is create the Kanban board itself for the recruiting process, right? So there you go. I'm going to call this recruiting SMB. I'm going to give it a color and an icon. So for the icon, I can use, let's see, could be this folder for now. could be this person. There you go. And I'm going to customize the background color as well. Disable. There you go. Cool. So what I can do now is just create the Kanban board. And this is going to be seeing the applicants, database by stage. So I already have the one that I've just sent here. And I can now start selecting what information I want to see on the card itself, right? So I want, for example, the job opening, the team. I'm going to reorder this. There you go. And also, for example, the culture fit. Right now it's at 0% because I haven't done the triage yet. And I can also add a button to go to their LinkedIn page, right? Their profile. There you go. I could add filters. I'm not going to filter. Let's go with, I'm going to change the card color so it's white. So I'm kind of in a light mode here. Let's see. And I'm going to change the card size. There you go. And I'm going to use the forms. For the creation form, I'm going to use the form that I've just created. I'm importing a form from an app page. And for the update form, I'm just going to get the form of the table itself. There you go. So you can see here that I have the stages, and when I click here, I'm using that form that I set up in the other part, right? What I'm going to do now is add a title bar, because the title bar is going to give me a button for creating a new application, but it's also a place where I can add a custom filter. So I'm going to attach it there. So I'm going to have a button to create a new application. And I'm going to use the form from the app page that I've just created, the recruiting form. There we go. And I'm also going to add a custom filter. Oops. I'm going to name this custom filter. And I'm just going to name it filter. We could add more quick filters here. I'm going to leave it like this for now. Basically, I'm creating a filter so people can like create a filter on the go here, and we're going to filter the Kanban board by it, right? There you go. So now we have a search bar and a filter that we can create on the go. One other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a top bar. And we're going to add that form up here as well, right? So we're going to use the standard one, the one with custom icons, because we've been using it on the other parts of this template as well. So for recruiting, we're going to use this icon. And for the form, we're going to, I think we have a kind of like this. There you go. And I'm going to disable the shortcuts, and here it is. So there you go. I can cycle between them, right? So I can see the filter, the form here, and I could change it if I wanted to. So I have the application here, but if I click on it, you can see that it's like the default form. We're going to change this as well. So now we're going to go to the applicant's database. And one other field that I'm going to create here, because there's a very cool thing that we can do with this Kanban board. I'm going to add a favorite. It's a field that kind of works like a checkbox, right? Because I want the interviewers, the recruiters, to be able to tag this applicant as, oh, this is a high potential candidate, and so they can favorite this guy, for example. And now, one thing that I'm going to change in this table, the creation form, I'm just going to import the form that we created before. There you go. So now if I click here on new row, it's bringing that form. And I'm also going to edit the update form. The update form is when I open the record itself, right? This part. So now we can have some tools here. For example, chat, I want that. Tasks, SLA, email. Email is one thing that we can activate for this process. So I'm going to leave it there as well. And I'm going to edit this form now. So I'm going to use the name of the applicant as this title. I'm going to add some inline blocks. I'm going to remove some stuff here. There you go. Oops. Name and phone number are right next to each other. LinkedIn and the button to go to LinkedIn are also going to be right next to each other, and I can change the appearance of the button. So it's going to be round, for example. Just to show you guys, I'm going to add an inline here. So LinkedIn and go to LinkedIn are right next to each other. Employment history and education as well. So you can just keep editing this to add new stuff. There you go. Attachments, team, job opening. Team and job opening are also right next to each other. There you go. Interview date and culture fit. Favorite, I'm going to put it all the way up to the top. And stage, I'm going to change this to a button-like view. Okay. I'm going to disable form responses, and I'm going to change the colors. So it looks, let's see here. It has the same colors that I've been using for the rest of the template. Okay. So if I open this, this is how it looks like. So I have this button to go to LinkedIn. I can use this favorite button here, and I have the stages here, and I can also use the culture fit to have this progress bar of culture fit. So let's go back to there you go, to this Kanban board. We kind of forgot to do some stuff here. I'm just going to refresh it. I've created some mirror fields of tasks and chat and forgot to put on the cover of the Kanban board card. So I'm going to add them now. I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to add them to the cover of the card. So I have tasks, I have chat, and I have time in current stage, right? And one thing that I'm going to do now is I've created the favorite field. I'm going to sort this Kanban board so that cards that have been favorites, they're going to appear up to the top, right? And also I'm going to add a conditional color. I'm going to highlight, I'm going to add a little bit of color here to the cards where favorite is true, right? So I'm going to save this. And now if I open the card, I can favorite this, save, and this card is highlighted. Just to show you guys something as well, let's send a new response. So Charles Smith, charles@email.com. Next, tech data engineer. So cool. Send the application. It will go here. So I'm just going to refresh this. So I sent the response, right? And it's going to appear here in the Kanban board. Let's just wait for it. There you go. So I have here Andrew Lee and I have Charles Smith. If Andrew wasn't favorited, Charles would appear up to the top. We'll have to refresh it. But if I click on favorite on Charles, it's here highlighted. And the next time that I refresh the page, sorry, there you go. It went up to the top, right? Because we've sorted by favorites first, so they're going to get priority and they're going to be highlighted, right? So we have this page, we have the recruiting form. And one last thing that I wanted to say is that we could activate the email feature for this process, right? So what does this mean, right? We could activate an email here. We're going to call this recruiting. And I'm just going to make a match here. The name of the person and the email and so on. This is not going to be very important because the idea here is not to receive applications by email, but to talk to the applicant afterwards, right? So if I activate this, and if I refresh this, if I open this card now, I have some features here. I have the chat, I have the SLA, I have tasks, and so on. But apart from that, I can also have the email part. And you can see that I can talk to Charles by the email that they did here. So I could just go like, hey, Charles, would you be interested in chatting with us? And then if I send this message, Charles would get the email, and then you can keep talking to them and so on from within the card, right? So this is the kind of process where it makes sense to activate the email feature, right? So you can talk to the applicant and have this quick communication, two-way communication from within the card itself. And the last thing that I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create a very simple dashboard that we're going to edit later with more stuff. But the idea here is just so we already have the page on the template. So we're going to have these dashboard, word recruiting SMB. There you go. And all I'm going to what I'm going to do here is just create a pie chart. We could have more charts, more indicators, reports, and so on. But for now, just so we have something here, applications by stage. We're going to get the table of applicants, see by stage, and the number of records. I want a pizza chart. I don't want a separation here, so we can toggle some settings here. So we have two applicants in the triad stage. I'm going to clone this component, right? There you go. And instead of by stage, we're going to see by team, right? So there you go. So we have the, oops, forgot to change the title here, applications by team. There you go. Could add indicators and other stuff here, but we're going to leave it as of now as this. We're going to go back to the recruiting app, and we're going to edit this top bar so we have the dashboard as well. Let's see, recruiting, there you go. So it's here. We're going to add an icon here. We're going to use the same we've used before. There you go. And all we have to do is go back to the home page and add this part to the app, right? So we have recruiting, and I'm going to put it all the way up here. I'm also going to add the databases. And they're going to go here. There you go. So on the other live streams, we built the finance part. So we have payables, we have receivables, and so on. So they look like this. We built the CRM. So we have the CRM itself with a dashboard and so on. So now we have the recruiting part, right? Where we have a Kanban board of candidates, of applicants. We have a public form, and this public form is cool that when you get to the job opening part, it goes into your job opening database and only lets you select active job openings and job openings of the team that you've previously selected. And we also have the dashboard. Very simple for now, but we already have some components here. And one of the coolest parts of this template is that if I want to talk to a specific applicant, I can just click on their card, go to the email part, and send them a message. They're going to get the email. They can answer to the email, and you're going to get their response here. So all in all, that's kind of the what we've wanted to do today. So everything is working as intended. Of course, we can keep adding more fields of information. We could do automations. We could create more components here in the dashboard. We could make the form a little bit prettier. We could add videos. We could add some more descriptions, make some fields required. We could have it cover. We could change the colors. But all in all, I think that it's working fine for now. And this is kind of like an overview of how a recruiting process would work in Jestor. But I don't know if you have anything more to say here, if you want to show something else.
Nothing to add. Just don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we will be back next week adding more features for our small business planner. And we were also going to have another live on Tuesday regarding Jestor for beginners. So if you have any other questions or suggestions, just leave it in the comments, and we will reply to you, or during the live sessions or in the comment sections. See you. Bye.